I've read scores of books on investing, and I've dedicated my adult professional life to being the best financial advisor I can be for my clients. And I'm bringing all of that experience and that expertise to you in today's video, where I'm going to talk about the 3 main things that I've learned that really make a difference for people in succeeding in their financial goals. If I had a magic wand and I could wave it and give everybody on YouTube this knowledge, I would do that. And hopefully this 8 or 10 minute video takes you along that path. Okay, so number 1, and I think it's super important, is, complexity is the enemy of you succeeding financially. Take on no more complexity than what you need to achieve your goals. Simple is better than complex. And when I say complex, I'm talking about tools that are really designed to be sold to you. They sound great. They're going to offer the upside of the S&P 500, but not all of the downside, right? Those are called structured products. Those are contracts with a financial institution. And, all of the 12-point font in bold and the beautiful pictures, the things that they promise, the good with it is true, but what they don't do a good job of explaining is the negatives. And it's just too complex, and that's not what this video is about, but it's designed to sound great. Derivatives, where you get the upside, but you don't have to put in all the money. All of these more complicated tools, they have their place, but I personally do not think they have a place for most people in their personal portfolios. There are exceptions to that. If you've got a concentrated stock position, something like that might make sense. But for most of us, simple is better than complex. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is, I think your goal in investing should be to make the very best decisions that you can. You're not going to get every decision right, but if you set out and say, I want to get a 20% a year return, you're more likely to get hurt than you are to reach your goals. So I think the way you judge how you're doing on an investing standpoint is you look at your decisions. Did you make good decisions? And good decisions for investing really, I think, starts with your asset allocation. How much of your portfolio is going to be exposed to volatile tools like the stock market versus tools that are designed to have low volatility, things like high quality short duration bonds. Now, it's really important I share, this is not investment advice. This is not financial advice. I don't know your situation. I'm not going to talk about any specific companies or any specific products here. Just general advice that I think everybody can benefit from. So, your goal is to say, okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve in the next decade, in the next 5 years, the next 20 years. And how do you set up an investment portfolio in order to reach those goals, knowing that it's likely that you're going to hit some rocky periods along the way. And those rocky periods where the stock market is not doing well can be really, really scary, right? I mean, just look at the last, 15 years. We had the financial crisis, 2008, 2009, where the market, the S&P 500, dropped almost 60%. That is a drop that will take your breath away and keep you from sleeping. Let's say you had a $500,000 portfolio. If that was all in stocks, and for younger people, a lot of folks were 100% in stocks, and for some people that makes sense. But a 60% drop on a $500,000 portfolio takes your portfolio from $500,000, you lose $300,000. Sorry, I'm near a downtown location, so you're hearing some background noise, but a 60% drop is really, really hard for a lot of people to stick to. But unfortunately, when you're most likely to make the change is close to a bottom, right? And so asset allocation, getting that right, the way you know if you got that right is, can you stick with your asset allocation when times are scary? And when the market's doing really, really well, and it's up 20 or 30%, can you also stick with your asset allocation and say, I've got enough exposure to stocks. I felt like I got my fair share of the upside, right? So rule number one, simple is better than complex. Rule number two, your goal is to make good decisions regarding your investments and your progress towards those investments. Okay? Rule number three, and admittedly I'm biased, I think you need to have a plan. It's hard to get to where you want to go if you don't have a roadmap, if you don't have a plan laid out. And you know, for most of us, yes, there are tools online that will give you some of the components of a plan. Now, know that a Monte Carlo simulation, which is, you know, you've heard me talk about a lot on this channel, that is not a financial plan. That's a piece of a financial plan, but it is not a financial plan in itself. It's part of it, but it's not complete. So I think you need to have a financial plan. You need to have a roadmap, an idea where you're going. Again, most people are doing it once in their life. I don't think you should do that, right? You know, I have some hobbies, like I enjoy skiing. I live in a mountain town. And I did not teach my kids to ski, right? I signed them up for ski lessons because they would have been now, you know, we go out and ski together and have fun, but I've never taught anybody to ski before my kids, and they're ski instructors that this is what they do for a living. It's the same thing with a financial plan. And as I've shared in the past, working with a fee-only financial planner, I think is important. Okay, I'm gonna give you another bonus, and this one can save you thousands of dollars. So I hope this resonates with you. And that is, when you're looking at your asset allocation, remember that again is what percent of your portfolio is in stocks, what percent of your portfolio is in bonds. I want you to think about your bonds, particularly as you get closer to retirement, is so many years of living expenses in these bonds that are maturing in a short period of time. They're maturing in a year, they're maturing in 2 years, maturing in 3 years. I want you to think of your bonds not as a percentage of your portfolio, but how many years of living expenses you could fund out of those bonds as they mature. So if I wanted $50,000 a year for my living expenses to supplement maybe Social Security, and I had $250,000 worth of short duration, high quality bonds in my portfolio. $50,000, I've got $250,000 in bonds. That's 5 years of living expenses. And you know, the reason I don't think so that would be $250,000, and let's say I had a $750,000 portfolio. So that would say, you know, 33% is in bonds and 67% in the stock market. You know, things feel very differently if I look at it and say I've got 5 years of living expenses in bonds. That feels differently when times are scary and I need fortitude, I need mental fortitude to stay the course. That feels very different to me than I've got a third of my portfolio in bonds. So I want you to think of it as far as years of living expenses that you have in bonds, because that'll give you comfort knowing that when the market is down, you don't have to take money out of the market. Again, I want to encourage you to work with a professional. None of this is financial advice. These are things I want on your radar screen. I want you to be aware of, but work with a professional. I think working with a fee-only financial advisor who's a fiduciary to you 100% of the time makes a lot of sense. I also think it makes a lot of sense to watch this video here, where I talk about the things that I think all of us, as we start approaching retirement age, as we get to 50 or 60 years old, in that range, things that we should stop doing to enjoy life more. It's not about the journey. It's not about crossing, quote unquote, the finish line of retirement. It's about enjoying the journey as well. And this video talks about that. I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching this one.